Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. Sitting here in another new location.
We're changing it up, we're mixing up, keeping on your toes.
Don't believe we've used this one in the podcast history.
Not in the filming era.
My old room.
Not in the filming
Yeah,
era.
back in the
on
pure sound era.
Just recorded era, unreleased. Very terrible audio from our first ever recordings.
Episodes, yeah.
So, no, never been done in the video era. It's new. Different seats. Sat on a seat plenty of times before. Never in this context. So it is.
Never with the rugs on the top.
Rugs, yeah, it's quite nice on the leg.
Kanye protectors, I suppose.
Yeah, a little bit smooth. So yeah, little new setup. Nothing wrong with that, you know. Like we said, change it up, keep it on your toes. You're always thinking, who knows what's going to come next. But we got into some finals footy, didn't we? Over the weekend, we had our first four games, top 8, battling it out. We've said goodbye to 2 teams. Obviously, 2 teams have been eliminated.
Down to 6 from 8.
Down to 6 from 8, but the most important thing is that I have managed to slowly, briefly, slightly claw my way back up. Going 1-0 in terms of the betting this week, picking up that one up for the Roosters game there.
Yep. Almost slipped through there, but yeah. $78 in the lead I am, so it's going to take a couple of big boys.
I've got one this week.
You've got momentum on your side.
$35 I believe, 35 I think we were clocking in at, so something about that number there I like the look of, so that's a tasty looking chunk, and then we've still got 2 more weeks to go, so plenty more footy to be played. Maybe not plenty, but still more. I won't be giving up just yet.
3 more weeks to go to reel me in there.
3 more weeks, right.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, look, we promised it a number of times over the season. But it's finally here, the inaugural TGIF Team of the Year.
Yeah, obviously sort of went throughout the season, throughout the weeks, picking a team of the week, giving you who we thought were your standout players of the round. Now, team of the year, team of the season, it's you look at it that you're kind of having to look at the season on the whole. We haven't done that. We've gone strictly based off stats. This is a team of the year based on number of appearances in the TGIF team of the week. Now, there'll be players in here that you may argue and think, what the hell are they thinking? Now, they may have had a tasty little patch of form, or they may have been in one of those weird positions where we had about 8 players all tying on the same amount of votes. So we'll crack into it. Starting off, taking your number 1 jersey for the first ever, as you said, was it inaugural? Inaugural. Is there an I in there?
Yeah.
I've always thought it was just inaugural. Either way, the 1 jersey, taking the 1, Kalen Ponga. Now, I believe coming through with, I want to say 4
appearances.
4 appearances.
Shout out to Scotty Drinkwater, also had 4, but I think you talk to anyone in the footy space at the moment and they'd be picking KP over Drinkwater, no disrespect. So we had to give the man with the headgear, the man that's led Newcastle to that finals charge, that 5th place finish. KP, shout out.
Yeah, well done to him, taking the 1. Joined at the back, one of his wingers there. I think it was a pretty easy shout here This one taking the top now. I want to say 5. Or am I still we're still at 4? DWZ, your top winger.
Yep, I think he had 5
He cracked
appearances.
5.
We had a handful on 4, but DWZ, yep. In terms of Team of the Week selections, he was your winner of the year, so shout out to him. That glorious set of hair running down the wing for the Warriors, breaking your heart week after week, scoring a number of tries. And a handful less games than all those other fellas that were in the Ken Irvine race.
Missed those first 6 games, 7 games, I believe. So
yeah, really good season for the.
And adds to your, he adds to your double barrel quota as well. So always good. You got to get him in there if you can. But he's one of your wingers and taking the 5.
Speaking of that Ken Irvine medal,
the
man who managed to take it in the end.
Jermaine Asako.
Yep.
Is your other winger there for your team of the year now?
Did the combo.
Managed to get in there quite early on. With a handy amount of votes, I believe, at the start of the season there. But he takes the other wing spot there. So Ponga, DWZ, and Asako, your back 3. Now centres. Centres was an interesting position. I believe this was where we had quite a few ties. But one player who did have quite a tasty patch of form a little bit earlier on in the season, our first centre for your team of the year, Campbell Graham.
Yep, 5 selections for Campbell Graham there. Started the season as arguably the player of the year for those first sort of 6 or 7 rounds until Souths decided to fall off a bit of a cliff. But yeah, Campbell Graham shows you what you can get if you bank it early. I think it might have been 5 selections in the first, or maybe 4 of those 5 were in the first 6 rounds there.
Very early days, yeah.
So
well done to
good
him.
stuff.
Like you said, bank it early. I said it a lot. Have people chasing you. It's a good position to be in, especially when you're talking about being selected for a subpar podcast team of the year.
Yeah,
it's tricky. So shout out to him. His centre pairing, his centre partner, Herbie Farnworth, another player who I believe also managed to bank quite a few votes early on in the season. I think he might have been up there as well quite early on.
Yeah, I think he started the season in particularly hot form. Young Herbie there, maybe a selection or 2 towards the end of the year, but yeah, again, just banking those votes early. Managing to pip Valentine Holmes and Matt Timoko, who tied with him on votes there. As we said before the show, probably couldn't pick Val based off what he's been up to.
We had to give him
his Mad Monday antics.
A slight shoulder there. We were big upping Mad Monday over the last few weeks, but
just keep your phone away.
Keep it low key, like the Tigers go to the races. And waste a bit of money on the horses. There didn't seem to be anything too gnarly there from what I saw from the Tigers celebrations, but keep it low key. Otherwise you miss out on big accolades like this.
Not too much to celebrate for the Tigers, to be fair. But
that's what I'm saying, keep it low key.
Same with the Cowboys as well.
There's no need to be going out there and getting involved with little baggies like that, when you don't make the 8, so save that for after the finals.
Save that, get that shit signed by Benji Marshall at the footy. But yeah, look, back to the team of the season, team of the year, however you want to call it. Our 2 halves. Now, we've gone for 2 halfbacks here because they eclipsed all the 5/8 in terms of votes, and probably just couldn't leave either of these 2 blokes out of the side. They both had amazing seasons. So yeah, we've gone for Sean Johnson and Nico Hines in the halves. However you want to play it, at 7 or 6. I think maybe Johnson takes the 7, Hines at the 6, but who knows? Cronulla fans might be saying different.
You could just let them both do a little bit of both. I think
they're both in such hot form. Just get them the ball when they want it.
maybe get them going on one of those sort of
We're the coaches. We've got to sort this out. The game plan, actually.
maybe like an analog number style, where it sort of changes between 6 and 7, the number.
Okay.
So the lines kind of move around, and they can sort of alternate between the two positions. Because I think you're right. You could probably argue either way for which way you want to have those two around, but it's a pretty tasty looking back line. That team of the year, a few players there, standouts throughout the season, and a few, like we said, little patches here and there where they were doing their thing. But that's your backs. Now we make our way into the forwards, and a slightly easier task on our hands here, at least to start off. These props now topping the team of the week stats. 15 selections.
15 and 12 respectively.
15 and second place, you're right. 15 and 12. Your two props, Payne Haas and Adam Fanua-Blake. Now, it's the double barrel quota as well.
Two double barrels, double. Not bad.
But two standout players this year. Obviously, we're kind of used to seeing that from Payne Haas, but Fanua-Blake seemed to take it up another level this year, and if it wasn't for what we've seen from Sean Johnson, without a doubt, he'd be their best player this year.
100%, yeah. Fanua-Blake's been immense, and it's probably no surprise he racked up 12 appearances there, and then slotting in between the two big men in that front row, so to speak. And then who racked up 7 appearances. Harry Grant seemed to have himself quietly, maybe. Might be a bit rude to say, but really good season in terms of those team of the week selections, at least.
Yeah, sort of had himself locked in there, sort of cruising pretty. A few selections away from the chasing pack there, but no, shout out to Harry Grant making his way into that 9 jersey. Now, my sort of my favourite position, I've said it a few times, my favourite type of player in the league is a big second rower who seems to have it all. They've got the power, they've got the strength, they've got the feet work, the footwork. They've got the hands, they've got a little bit of everything. Both of these players, I think, pretty fair, pretty certain. What is that noise? That's just completely thrown me out. Sounds like a hideous cat out there going off. But what I was trying to say was it's both of these two players sort of fit that mould pretty perfectly for that type of player, and that's David Fifita and Amole Olukwatu.
100%, yep. I believe we also saw them both put boot to ball at some stage.
We did see them both put boot to ball, so there you go.
Which we did mention earlier in the year would be a huge nod, especially if you are a forward, to getting yourself in that team of the week. And to have two blokes that have put boot to ball.
We've definitely seen Fifita put boot to ball with
big bomber.
Olukwatu, I believe we have seen him put boot to ball, maybe not a bomb, but maybe a rubber.
Surely.
I believe. Possibly at some stage, but regardless of the fact, pretty solid selections there, I think. Whether or not they're putting in kicks come game day. Two blokes I'd love to have on my team. And drawing there, filling in the back of the lock there, back of the scrum there, the lock, Corey Horsburgh.
Yeah, brings a bit of mongrel to the side.
Bit of
oomph to that forward pack. Obviously we've got Fanua-Blake and Haas, well-renowned oomph men, but just to round that up with big red at 13.
Got to have someone in there with a little bit of grunt, a little bit of that anger, that pure anger about them. Someone that wants to go out there and injure somebody. He managed to sort of have one of those games more often than not and make his way into that team of the week, and so fourth has made his way into the team of the year. So that's your 13. That's a pretty solid looking starting pack there. We've we've given you a little run on interchange here. We've left out a 19th man. We don't have a 19th man. We don't have any non-travelling reserves, but we've given you 4 on the bench, starting off in your 14, going on that traditional double hooker role. What we're after there, sort of, someone to come on, mix it up. We've seen in the latter stages of the season can also come in and have
That's
a
what
little,
I was just about to say.
have a little run around, in the halves. So, and the way he tackles, I'm sure you could probably have him coming in as a prop as such, and he'd do a pretty decent job. Api Coruscant, he may have won the spoon, but he's also made his way into that team of the year, taking that second place in that hooking role and taking that first spot in the interchange.
Yeah, one of the few shining lights of a pretty dim season for the West Tigers. Shout out Appy. Yeah, great season, and hopefully for your sake, more of it next year. And then, we've gone for a prop, a second rower, and a lock to round out that bench there. So Joey Tarpany takes that propping role. I suppose you could say of both these men that they could slot in at either lock or prop, depending on the way injuries fall, the way Big Red goes out there compared to those 2 front rowers. But Joey Tarpany was another man with huge numbers this season. Maybe not quite as big as Fanua Blake and Haas, particularly in terms of TGIF Team of the Week selections. But great season for the Green Machine. Sees them in the Team of the Season. And so hopefully we can get the best out of them for the Kiwis at the end of the year as well, because we saw pretty much the same last World Cup.
Yeah, fingers crossed that
World Cup.
Fingers crossed we get to see that sort of form come out when we do get into that international footy once the season comes to an end. But you're right, he's your prop and roll. We've like you said, we've gone for that prop, second rower, and a lock, taking that third second row position, Tyson Frizzell. Now, obviously, 10 on the trot now. The Knights are sort of started off that season not looking too flash, not looking too shabby.
I think they might have been 14th at one stage.
But were they not also top of the table after 2 rounds? Did they win the first 2 and then have a big loss?
And they might have,
and then Dolphins went 3-0. I have a feeling that, and then they might have lost a whole heap of games.
Because they beat you when you guys dominated them in terms of
just dropped the ball about 15 times. Yeah.
And everyone was that was pretty handy.
But I think he will be a player here that's had a majority of his selections in the latter stages of the season. Tyson Frizzell.
Yep.
Making that late charge, one of the chasers, and sort of just being able to break ahead of the pack, maybe tripping up someone on the way through to the finish line. Someone has a stumble, who knows what's going on there, but he's managed to make his way in, take that bench spot. And rounding off your bench, rounding off your interchange, another man, like you said there, like I said before, can sort of come on and play any role really in that sort of 4-pack if you need him to come on, regardless whether or not there's been an injury or something like that. Toru Harris.
Yep. Another man, 3 Warriors inside, which shows you how good they've gone this year, particularly their key men there. But shout out Toru Harris. He's led the Warriors pretty well this year, and regularly tops that what's it called, VB hard earned index. So
yep.
I'm surprised to see him in here with the amount of tough yardage and tackles he manages to pull off. And like you said, he can come and patch up anywhere in that forward pack from the front row, back row, all locked there. So shout out, there's your team of the season. Don't know if any of the lads will be getting the message, but if you do, congratulations,
Well done.
lads.
We'll see you at training, I guess.
We'll see you at training, and hopefully we'll get these boys.
We'll get the best out of you, I'd say.
We'll find another podcast that has a different team of the year and see if we can tee up
we'll tee up a
match. An exhibition match or something.
I've been wanting to get rugby league to North Harbour Stadium for a wee while, so
we'll see what we can do.
We'll see if we can tee up something up there. Maybe if not, we'll have a look at maybe a little bit of Northcote. Birkenhead War Memorial Park, I believe, the home ground there. Little Northcote Tigers
Might
shout
be
out.
looking at a pretty quick sellout on that one there.
That's right. We'll bring in the old what was that seating they brought in at Mount Smart? Yeah, the temporary stands.
Yeah, the temporary stands.
We'll get one of those in.
Scaffolding.
But that's your team of the year. That's your top performers in terms of TGIF for your year. We've still got more footy, obviously, to get into upcoming. Now we've got two big matchups this weekend.
Two big matchups.
One on your Friday, one on your Saturday.
Yeah.
Your first matchup to see who's coming through to play Penrith, I believe.
Yes.
Melbourne up against the Roosters.
Yeah, now a lot of people saying, based off last week's performance as a whole, this round here is going to be pretty trivial. Whoever does make it out of these two games might struggle up against the likes of Penrith and Brisbane, sitting there waiting for them in the preliminary finals. Lots of talk that it's just going to be a walk in the park for those sides, but Melbourne versus Roosters. You think back 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a grand final matchup. A couple of big clashes over the years. Two clubs that are, Melbourne obviously stoked with that top 4 finish, but they'll be reeling after their 26-0 loss to the Bronx.
Not what we expected to see from them, was it?
100%. No,
I was sort of saying
I
that
thought it was going to be very tight.
Footy, Melbourne are a different breed, and not what I expected at all.
Yeah, particularly lots of times Melbourne, they won't play great. They'll just play tough, and then they'll rely on their key guys in that spine to do something there. But it just didn't seem to work at all. They were smashed off the park by that Broncos pack, and it was the Broncos backs who had all the moments. Particularly Adam Reynolds. He had himself a game out. A couple of really good moments there. Really proved why they.
But to then go out and lose Pat, it's
heartbreaking.
It's so unfortunate. So, really not what we expected to see from Melbourne. I don't think at all there in that one. I did think Brisbane were going to bounce back, but I didn't think it was going to be. Definitely didn't think it would be a shutout. That's for sure. You don't expect a clean sheet come finals time. But they have their work cut out for them this weekend, I think, up against this Roosters team. Managing to just get across the line there up against the Sharkies.
Scraping home thanks to a Sammy Walker field goal there, 13-12. And some desperate defence from Teddy and Luke Carey to charge down those.
Very good defence, yeah.
Attempts there, so unfortunate for Cronulla, but Chucky's got one up on them there at Shark Park and march on to this week. Definitely not the regular season that you were expecting from the Roosters, but
I think
they are one win away
yeah.
from a prelim. All of a sudden, not too many people will be saying it was a bad season if they make the prelims. And you have to think based off last week's performance, Roosters will be confident that they can go down to Melbourne and do something there. They hung in there. It was a tough game. They had a few players go down. Joey Manu, Suali'i, I think maybe one other went down injured as well. Apparently Billy Smith broke his jaw in the 50th minute or something and played on. So yeah, they're walking wounded at the moment, the Chooks, but they do have that momentum. Maybe not as much as the Knights, but it should make for a good game. Melbourne definitely, I mean, they don't have two bad games in a row, really. I mean, we've seen it at stages this year, but you think when it's finals time, they're not going to have two bad games.
I think it's a little bit similar to like what we saw from Brisbane the week where obviously different team, you know, when you've got your young blokes, your Rezzies coming out. But I think we see the Storm bounce back. I think we will see sort of that gritty performance that we're used to seeing from Melbourne sides over the years, and it's going to be tough for them though, I think, regardless. Up against this Roosters pack, like you said, coming in with a bit of form, you know, managing to, you know, get in there right at the end of the season. So it's a bit of a flip of a coin, I think, really.
It is, I think. We're sitting either side of the fence, which sort of proves that. I didn't actually have a look, but what are the bookies saying? Who's favourite in this one?
Melbourne are favourites.
Strong favourite.
Don't think it was
$1.50-ish.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more.
$1.50 to $2.40 or something. Or is it a bit closer than that?
$1.26 to $3.80.
Shit, Roosters might have a weekend team named actually. I'll have a look at this, but yeah, we are sitting either side of the fence.
Oh wow.
Smith, Manu and Soli all out. So it will be tough work for
I had to
Chooks
that
as well.
Yeah, that changes it up big time,
but look, it's on the tip sheet. I'm gonna have to stick with it. I've gone Roosters 1 to 12 into Tedesco. Didn't come off for me last week, but I'm going back to it. $11.11. I see you've said make a wish.
Yeah, make a wish, lock it in. Like you said, yeah, on the other side of the fence, Melbourne Storm 1 to 12 into Harry Grant to cross the try line. Going to get you just a tick over $10, $10.04. And following on from that, we'll be able to see who's up against Penrith in that first prelim. But to see who is going to face the Broncos in the second prelim there, we have some finals footy here in New Zealand for the first time since 2008, I believe. The Warriors playing host to the Newcastle Knights. Obviously, Warriors getting pumped last weekend, and the Knights continuing on that hot run of form, 10 on the trot.
Yep. Look, definitely wasn't as dominant of a win for Newcastle. Particularly that first half, they were looking very, very scratchy. 3 tries off Newcastle errors, really, that Canberra were able to pounce on and take that shock lead in going into the break, but possibly a little rack up from Coach O'Brien, and out they trot the Newcastle Knights and put on a few good tries there to send us through to extra time.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a shake up there in that second half.
Yeah, I think Canberra will be thinking that was one that sort of possibly got away from them. Again, you go back to Nico Hines having a field goal charged down, a couple of field goals charged down. I believe Fogarty was the same. Maybe it was just the one, but yeah, lots to talk about from this game actually. The Jack Whiten bite. The high shot to win the game for Ponga there late in extra time. So yeah, it was a juicy affair. 30 points to 28. You don't normally see it in the finals.
No, you don't expect something that high scoring when you get to finals footy. You're usually expecting the defense to be a little bit more on point, but I didn't think it was going to be this close. To be fair, in the first place, I thought Newcastle would have sort of made it a little bit easier for themselves. But
I thought so too.
That first half, they sort of seemed to make it as tricky as they could to go on and get the win. But yeah, also maybe the Raiders feeling like that they've missed an opportunity there, missed a good opportunity to try and make it through into this game here up against the Wires, who the last month or so maybe a little bit longer. Obviously, you can kind of write off any game against Penrith, I think, because it's Penrith.
Yeah.
They're not really looking like what we've seen from the Warriors in sort of the middle of the season there, where they were sort of looking like one of the best teams in the comp.
Yeah, we harp on about it. You don't want to be peaking in the middle of the season. You want to be peaking at the end. The Warriors seem to be. Yeah, I mean, I heard it on SEN. You look at the last 4 weeks before this one for the Warriors, and they were lucky to scrape home against the Titans. They beat West by 8 points down in Hamilton, was it, in the end?
Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe 8 or 12 points. They lucky to beat Manly, and they were lucky to beat us, and that was only by 12 points. When you think about Wests and Dragons, if they come up against some of these top sides, it's not been pretty at stages this season. So the Warriors are sort of trending downward. They'll have to.
This is the game where they bounce back, though, 100%.
I think
back
you'll
at Mount
see.
Smart, it's going to be a completely different atmosphere.
Yeah, I think you'll see the best of the Warriors just based on that home advantage. Things haven't gone right for a while. Johnson obviously missing from the side. Doesn't get you an extra 26 points against Penrith, but it's going to have a big lift around the boys. We talked about the Tommy Turbo effect.
It's going to have that same impact like when it was their first game back at Mount Smart. First time they've played finals footy there in 15 years.
Yeah, it's going to be
so it's going to be huge. So the Warriors are definitely going to have that advantage there, being the home team. But whether or not that they can capitalise on that and get themselves into that matchup there with Brisbane, it's going to be tough coming up against the informed team of the comp, 10 on the trot. Knights don't know what it's like to lose at the moment, so whether or not the Wires can get past Ponga and his merry men, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think they definitely can, but they will have to. They'll have to contain Ponga well, because if he has a day out, I don't think many teams are stopping him at the moment the way he's been playing. Possibly Penrith, the way they can defend, but yeah, look, if Ponga can come and have a day out, possibly Newcastle trot into that preliminary final. But I just think that home advantage, like you said, will probably be the telling factor on the day, and the Warriors might just sneak their way into a preliminary final for the first time since 2011. So that'll be good for the locals. I'm sure you'd be pretty disappointed to see that, but
not really. I kind of hope they make the grand final and lose. That's kind of my ideal.
That's the ultimate.
That's my ideal scenario. To be fair, it would be awesome. But that's how I picked it. I see them making it through to the next week.
It's rough to say, but I don't see either of these 4 teams challenging Penrith or Brisbane.
No, I think Penrith and Brisbane both win next week.
If they can turn up next week and play 95% of their best footy, they go through and play each other in the grand final.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that's what it's turning out to be for me.
Especially if Romy's back next week. They were saying was a possibility, but don't know how that's checking out. Probably something that they're going to be playing by ear over the next week or so. Whether he gets named in the side next week or not, we'll see. But yeah, look, I see we've gone similar, but you've managed to find a little bit more juice in it.
Just wanted to beef it up a little bit. Warriors 1-12 into Wade Egan and Bradman Best to both cross the try lines there. There's a 35-35 I was telling you about. Now if that one comes off and yours doesn't, my other one comes off, your one doesn't, there you go, there's $45.39.
That's more than half the gap.
So I have no reason why it can't still happen, but I need this one to come off. Egan and Best to score into a little small Warriors one. We're away laughing.
I like the value. Yeah, look, Bradman Best, he's been scoring tries for fun, so whether Wade Egan can come and dot down, we shall see. I've gone a little bit, less value, but more assurance in my try scorers, I suppose. Dom Young and DWZ parcelled into that Warriors 1-12 win, and it's going to get you $8.93, just under $9 there. So
not bad when you think of those two try scorers there.
Hopefully they're pretty automatic, especially if we see an open, high scoring game of footy. Warriors a different style this year, but Newcastle have been piling on the points lately, so fingers crossed. But yeah, like we said, it was the end of Cronulla and Canberra's season. We'll see two more teams drop off next week. But that's probably it in terms of the NRL footy.
Yeah, short and sweet this week in terms of what we've got for you, but we're down to that part of the season. Unfortunately, we're smack bang in the middle of a little international break.
Yeah, it's that part of the season for us,
you know, so we're kind of in cruise control here in terms of the footy. I believe we're injury free from what I've seen over the international break. We've managed to offload Pepe on a free to Trabzonspor. We have today, maybe this morning, locked in our Champions League 25-man squad. No huge shocks in there as far as I can see. When we first came back Monday this week? Monday morning our time, Sunday there. Is it Everton first came back?
Yes, it is. I think that is Monday morning. I'd have to check what's but then yeah, our first Champions League game is also on Wednesday morning.
Next Wednesday.
Next week. So
I'm not working. I've got that wedding
up against PSV.
Yo,
at home.
Shout out Brady for the wedding.
So,
out the Gunners.
Yeah, good to see the lads walking back out to that Champions League anthem on Wednesday morning there. I think it's
Monday.
PSV.
That's no Monday. No, it's Thursday morning.
Oh, Thursday morning. Damn. And then following that, we've got the North London derby. So
is that Sunday or that'll be Monday?
I think that's a
Monday 2 a.m.
But is that in the school holidays?
No, that's rolling into
the last week of.
Yeah, it's last week of term though. That'll be
last week of term.
It'll be, I don't know what it will be, but
it'll be a North London derby, that's for sure.
Yeah,
either way, whether it's caught live or a little bit delayed, it is a tough run of fixtures coming out for the Arse. So whether we come out of the back end of the next sort of 5-6 weeks and people are still putting us in that bracket of title challenges, I'd like to hope so.
You'd hope that's
we've really got to come through the ringer. Spurs, Chelsea and City to come.
City's still to come as well, yeah. So I believe that one may fall at the end of the
that'll be a big market to see where we're at this season in terms of that title challenge. But yeah, short and sweet in terms of the Arsenal as well, with no real football action to talk about.
Yeah. We did manage to get back into a little bit of darts over the weekend. Now we had the German Open there, part of the European Tour. slightly different looking field that maybe what you're used to. But we had Ratajski up against Bunting in the final. Krzysztof Ratajski, the Polish Eagle, sort of sawing his way through there over the few days, and playing some really good darts there in that final day to make his way into the final. Looking to hopefully, for his sake, continue his form this weekend when they head to Amsterdam for the World Series of Darts Finals. Now, I saw a little thing before. You've got the top 8 from the order of merit. You've then got 8 invited players from just from the World Series throughout the year. I believe is how it works, and then 8 off maybe like some qualifying event, I think is how it worked. But shout out to Hope by Puha out there representing the Kiwis there this weekend, up against Graham Usher. Not as much of a household name, I guess, maybe a little bit older as far as I'm aware. So possibly maybe for people who have been into their darts for a little wee while, but maybe to your average Joe.
You casuals like me.
Yeah, you may have not heard.
I've got no clue who Graham Usher
I'm
is.
95% certain he's more he's older than me, I can tell you that. I want to say maybe like 53. Not the Bishop. 50. Give us an image. That's him there, I believe. It has to be.
Darts,
Yeah. I'm a bit of a Modus. There we go. Modus Super Series. I've definitely that's where I've seen him before, but and then winner of that plays Snakebite, a little bit more synonymous with the world of darts. Peter Wright. For me, I guess when I think of a crazy darts player, that's who I picture in my head. Rocking the old Mohican there, but pretty tasty matchup for a player who went out there and sort of shocked the world. Not shocked the world as such, but I guess shocked the darting world with his win there up against Vandenberg and when they came to Hamilton. So shout out to Hopes for getting the invite, going along. I'll be cheering you on. Starts up, I want to say it must be Saturday morning, maybe Friday night, depending on when they're starting it, but probably Saturday morning here our time, and I think Hopes is the last game, so probably looking at like about 10 o'clock here, maybe our time, maybe 9, somewhere around then. I guess that's probably us. Short and sweet in general.
Short and sweet this episode.
We're into finals footy. We're in the midst of an international break. We don't have any cricket to get into for, what is it, about another 3 weeks or so until the World Cup starts?
I think the Black Caps are still playing England in a couple more ODIs.
Yeah.
To finish up the series there, we lost the second one after a big day out for Mitchell and Conway.
A couple of centuries each,
unbeaten hundreds, chasing down a total, I think it was just under 300, so good on them. But yeah, I think a couple more to go there, and then off to the World Cup. The final 15-man squad has been locked in.
I think we touched on that last week, I believe. Big Kano back in action.
I think they named an extended one, but yeah, Kano's been locked in, and a couple more players cut, but not too many big surprises. Finn Allen didn't make it, which is a little bit surprising given his form in the 2020 arena, but
it's one day, isn't it?
It is, exactly. It's not 2020.
It's not 2020, so it's going to might do some harm.
One days. He hasn't been going as well there, but I'm sure we'll touch on
one day. One day he'll get there.
One day he'll get there, one day we'll get to the World Cup, and one day we'll be, I guess, covering it here on the potty.
Yeah.
But for now, if you've made it this far, thanks for listening or watching along if you're on YouTube. Remember to give us a like, 5-star, subscribe to the podcast, follow us on all your socials, enjoy the week ahead, whether it involves a bit of finals footy, bit of darts, whatever you may get up to. And if you do have a punt, make sure to do it responsibly. And remember to tune in next week. We'll be here. Probably
won't
not
be here.
in the same place.
We won't be here. We'll be somewhere else. I was just about to
We'll
say
be
that.
here.
We'll be elsewhere, but we'll be here.
You'll be able
in
to see us
presence.
on
You'll
your
feel
screens.
us. You know, our aura will be there, but we won't be here.
We won't be here.
I can assure you of that. Until then.
See you then.
Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now world test champions.